"What is your name?" he demanded. "Oliokar," he responded wearily. The guard pressed him. "Go on. Tell the king what you did." The man was stunned with silence at first, but soon resolved something and hung his head. "I have been a worm among men. I took the life of one of your female resistors who wielded a sling." Ryn could feel the rage of the men around him. "A young woman at that. Do you know the name of the woman that you unalived?" the guard asked. The man shook his head. "He doesn't deserve to know," said one of the commanders there. "He should be burned alive for what he's done," said another. When he said it, they all got a bit hesitant all of a sudden. When one knew the sound of the great wind, he could tell when a thing said ran against its flow. Ryn, the monk king they'd all known and respected, they presumed, would not tolerate that kind of spirit. The guard finished. "She was a mother of an infant. We all know you came here to unalive children and babes, as you have become nothing but monsters. But tell me now, how is that child supposed to feed with her mother gone? Who are you now that this is what you have done?" The man actually began to become sorrowful. He stuttered in shock. "I was a man of honor once," he said somberly. "I did what I do for my family, to honor them and provide for them. Zeus pays well and is very strong. When the Lord of our people came through, we had no choice. I have done things I thought no man should do. I did not know this violence until I joined this army." "You are rambling," said the guard. "Is there a point to this? Do you have something of value for us?" The man sadly shook his head. "Then what is your point?" the guard pressed. The man looked up and suddenly pleaded, "Please don't take my life." That made the others scoff. He went on, "I beg of you, King Ryn, if you let me go, I will go back to my family. I will harm you no more. My life is taken here today. So should my life be taken again for disobedience, I will consider it my sacrifice. Please," he said with moist eyes, "I want to live." The other men there were disgusted by his plea, but they looked to Ryn to see what he would do. Some looked less incensed than others, though. Ryn knew what was going to happen next. He saw himself look at the captives. He saw and took note of the conversation. He saw himself calculate and regret the circumstances. If he let him live, they would all say the same thing. And there was no way to tell among those not lying who would keep their word under pressure. Even the strongest of men could turn back to evil when the gods held that power to torture, unalive, or devour their little ones and their wives. He knew what he would do, and he suddenly felt sick to his stomach. "You beg for your life, and I am a man of mercy, but unfortunately Zeus has waged a war so vile and vast that more women and babes perish as we sit here. Every moment of mercy I have, every man I spend to escort you out with mercy to your homeland, cost the lives of a dozen of my own. I cannot make that decision. I hope in death you understand." Then Ryn turned with remorse, but with a cold face nonetheless, to his generals. "We have been left no time to treat his soldiers with rightness. Execute them all, and we will move on to the next campaign." In his mind, he hung his head, pondering what had happened, remembering that moment with shame and guilt. The whole scene was breaking. He didn't remember the man from Merovinia. He was even of the same stock as the men he'd struck down in the temple. It was so clear now how wayward his actions were. The sad part of it was that even back then he knew it was not right. It was not what the wind had taught him. But he still could not see doing anything different. Even now, even in his dream, he didn't know if he could choose differently, going back and redoing it all over again. As he stood there in somberness and oblivious to the rest of the dream as it went on around him, he was awakened from his thoughts by a familiar voice. "You look disheartened." He turned and was shocked to see his father, Amen. He walked toward him with soft and certain steps. His image was so vivid, it was like he was there in his mind, in his real presence. He had on a long coat he'd always worn, his full beard, his gentle eyes, and his figure large and demanding of attention. His voice was soft yet firm and strong. "If you are in my dream," Ryn began. "Don't think about that," he said with a straight face, observing eyes and his hands behind his back. "Ask what you are doing." Ryn knew instantly he meant in the dream. I am denying the wind because I can do no other. This is my only recourse. His father got close and spoke with commanding eyes but a gentle voice. Who here is putting a blade to your throat, commanding you to unalive these men? All of a sudden, Ryn's mind opened. He saw it. How had he been so blind? This was something Teoti had been trying to show him all along. Yes, power meant being able to do right. But his power wasn't over anyone else. It was over himself. No one was there telling him what to do. No one was making him execute them. If he wanted the power, he had to assume the power. When there was no way to do right, he had every ability to still choose right. You have forgotten that power is used to do good, not good to justify or gain power. Do not cry over lost power. Do good and force power to do good with you. This is from the book, The Epic of Ryn, the Catamin and Baku. And it really signifies what the word catamin in the Crovan language actually means. The catamin is the catalyst or instigator of righteousness or divine experience or action on earth. In that when goodness, when righteousness and corrective action that restores the world takes place, the catamin is the place where that begins. It is a place of courage. It is a place of strength. And that good cannot happen unless people choose to make it happen by taking their eyes off of a system dependent upon power and dependent upon selfishness and dependent upon self-gain. And I kind of want to leave you with this because this really struck me today, actually the past week, that we have the choice to do right in our society. And yes, there are many corrupt things about our world that we can't control, and corrupt things about our society we can't control. But if we spend our entire lives only reacting to those things and not forcing them to do right or making right happen regardless somehow, then we've lost the fight. Then righteousness can't be done. Then good things can't be done. So I would say, make sure to do what is right. Make right work for you. Move heaven and earth to do what is right. Don't allow all the things around you to move you.